Well, I grew up painfully shy, and that was like the strongest quality that I had growing up probably was how shy I was. I remember going to a new school in junior high school and not wanting anybody to judge me or see me or look at me and being scared all the time. I was really young for my grade and really petite. And then going into high school, I went to a new school and it was terrifying. And then in college, I remember getting my first panic attacks and anxiety about, ooh, if my class starts at 9 o'clock and it's 9:01, I'm not brave enough to turn the handle and walk in because people might look at me. So I would drive 20 minutes back home. Just really weird. I just did not feel comfortable in my own skin. And luckily, I had an amazing friend who offered me a job at a computer software company. It was at the front desk as a receptionist. And everyone that I worked with was so kind. And even though it was overwhelmingly hard for me to feel like I fit in when they were from the academia community and they had PhDs, some of them, and they had just a lot of education, and I barely graduated high school, so I felt not good enough. But um, I stuck with that company. I've been there ever since 2000, and I just realized that if I'm kind to people, then that's it. That's the best I can do. I'm doing my best, and people honestly don't care if I have a degree in rocket science. If I smile and welcome them into the building, then I'm doing my job. And I just kind of like slowly learned that. And I was really intimidated by people because of how smart they were. But the older I got, the more I realized that I respected people that were kind over how much school they had.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so I started a little website and I was blogging about kindness and ways that you could be kind in your family. And then I decided, oh, well, this is going so well. I want to start a podcast. And I live in San Luis Obispo, California, and there's so much goodness going on. I'm like, I have to have a podcast talking to all these amazing people in San Luis about how kindness has affected their lives and how they're affecting others with kindness. So,
hmm I don't know about you, but in my experience, if you respond with kindness, life just seems to get easier, like even the smallest example, you're at Walmart, the cashier is having a bad day. You respond with, "Hey, you know what?" You respond with kindness instead of like fighting fire with fire. Suddenly she's like, "Actually, I'm going to make this easier for you too." I don't know about you, but I've had plenty of experience with that, when especially at the airport, like everyone is like yelling at the clerks, and I'm like, "You know what, girl, you do what you do, I'll wait for what your computer says." And she's like, "Oh, here's a couple of food vouchers for you." I was like, "Okay, thank you."
yes, your calm, positive, peaceful energy just pulled her in and she couldn't help it.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, that's my experience, at least, but I'm sure, especially in the world today, at the time of this recording, it's the day after we learned of the Central Park incident and the George Floyd. So now more than ever, kindness is should we should just be responding with kindness. Oh,
And
anyway,
and can't
yeah.
and I feel that kindness is different than being nice. And when you see that one of our brothers was murdered in the streets in daylight, you say, "Oh, I'm so sorry for his family. I'll keep you in my prayers."
Mhm.
That's a nice response, but a kinder response would be to write your lawmakers and to protest and to stand with the family. So please, everybody,
Mhm.
stand with those that need it this week.
Mm, yes, absolutely. So here at the Plain Spread podcast, we always say our number one goal is to feel good. Always feel good. And from reading your bio, your website, that's like the energy I get. We let's feel good. So if you are someone who's, like a lot, if you're someone that's like just beginning to explore the work of being conscious about their mindset, and they're always in pain, not physical pain, because I know this is how I felt. um they're always in pain, always angry, always annoyed. They're the victim of everything. what would you recommend? What would be your advice to them? What would be the first step that they could take towards exploring feeling good?
Okay. Well, it's probably easier said than done, but
Mm,
what I've learned from the kindest people that I know are that they are kind to themselves and they love themselves. And it's it's the people that are the most compassionate that have the strongest boundaries.
mm.
And you're not going to be irritable and angry if you're taking care of yourself. um, and I'm still on that journey. But when
Yeah.
I started my kindness website, people were asking me, who's your ideal client? Who's the person you're writing for? I'm like, everybody, literally everybody needs kindness in their life. But I'm starting to niche down like to people that are struggling with mental illness. And I just think that number one, if you could at all find the energy and strength to do something kind for someone else, then it'll come back to you tenfold.
Mm,
But even if you aren't there, you don't have it in you to go volunteer or donate or anything, you could just be kind to yourself
mm,
and love yourself. And I read a book called Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It.
mm.
And he's just literally looking into his eyes in the mirror saying, I love you to himself. And I'm like, anybody could do that. So, um,
Yeah.
for sure, be mindful and proactive about it because when you're in the depression, it's really hard to do anything at all. Like, you don't want to be in a crisis mode being like, I wonder who's a doctor that takes care of people with mental illness. You want to, like, when you're in your up phase, get everything figured out and have a good plan
Mm,
um, with your nutrition and wellness and sleeping and all that. Did I
mhm.
answer your question?
Yeah, in a way, yeah. Yes, absolutely. Start exploring, start taking care of yourself pretty much is what I got from what
I
you
would I would totally say if someone is struggling um, with anger issues, maybe put yourself in someone else's shoes and realize Don Miguel Ruiz in his Four Agreements said, "Don't take anything personally." And so you're like, why is that checker at Walmart so bitchy? Is it because I'm an awful person and she knows it? Or like, oh, she's probably having a horrible day and her child is going through cancer treatments and the bill collectors are calling.
Mm,
So honestly, don't take things personally and do your best.
yeah.
Mhm.
The thing is, one thing that one thing that I've noticed is that people are consumed with what's going on in their lives, that they are reacting to their lives. So however they behave has nothing to do with you. Yeah.
Right. So your mother talking about your weight and your size, it's not about you. It's about her, what society or what her parents have told her. Um, and it's hard if somebody's critical that's in your um, inner circle. Like if your family, you can't get away from them. But if it's
Hmm.
strangers or coworkers, you can kind of choose what kind of energy you want to be around. So um,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel for the people that have the voices in their head of their critical parents. That's really tough. And
Yeah.
that's where a lot of people are just
Yeah.
in that vicious cycle of their parents didn't do the best with them and weren't as loving and gentle as they could be. And then it gets transferred and transferred. So,
Yeah,
mhm.
that's awesome. So how did you find that how has vulnerability and being expressed, because you were shy, you grew up shy. So what give us a sense of the freedom that you got since you started expressing yourself and being more vulnerable?
The first thing that pops into my head is dance because when I went to a school dance at a Catholic school I went to in the sixth grade, I just cried in the bathroom because I was so upset that I wouldn't have the cool moves or whatever. But now I think about when my friends get married and I get to go out on the dance floor and just like feel the music and look around at the smiling faces around me. Like, who the hell cares if I don't like
Mm,
move like Lady Gaga? If I just move like Claire, it's okay. And I don't know where the shift came from, but might have been that I was brave one day and signed up for a yoga slash pole fitness class, and I got to do a class with all females that were like so supportive. I did the level one where we were barefoot, and then level two we put on heels, and level three we got down into our like bras and boy shorts, and like the end of the class you get to do a dance in front of the whole room, and the women are just cheering and clapping and saying, "You're beautiful, you're gorgeous." And I'd say like there's a lot of body types in the class. Like someone had a body like Rosie O'Donnell or whatever, but she was as sexy as hell and everyone saw it. I'm like, well, if she's beautiful, maybe I'm beautiful too. And I just started having fun and I don't want to stop. So
Yeah,
that's a
that's
little
awesome.
part of me.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, being kind to yourself, you mentioned that it's easier said than done, right? Like,
Hmm.
like sometimes sometimes we don't even know we have these voices of our parents at the back of our heads because we're so conditioned that it just comes so naturally. So, what would be your tips when it comes to being kinder to yourself? I mean, obviously, the journey never stops. You're not 100% within like a snap. Oh, I'm 100% kind to myself. So, for someone that's just starting out, what would be your tip?
Okay, I'm thinking about teenagers right now,
Mm-hmm.
and when I was younger, I just was flat chested and I thought that was all that guys cared about, and I just wanted to have like double D boobies, and then the older I got, I just realized like I'm I'm who I am and there's good things about me and I want to focus on those. So maybe if someone's a teenager, they don't have to wait till they get older to appreciate themselves. And I'm thinking about like the LGBTQ community. Um, if they could find someone like them that's older, like maybe something that bothers you about yourself is your greatest strength. Like, um, I know, like, I could think logically, like, I'm lovable because everybody is inherently lovable, but it's really hard to be logical when it comes to emotions and feelings. So maybe look for someone like you. Um, and if you're a really thick person, be like, look at the Williams sisters, or just look at somebody that's like you and that is successful, and just kind of make those connections. Focusing on being confident and being positive will bring you success.
Mm. Yes, absolutely. I love that. So, what's something you wish more people asked about kindness?
Um, oh my gosh. I feel like maybe it'd be beneficial for everyone if they just turned into really good listeners. And if somebody that you love has a loved one that passed away, don't say, "Oh, I know how to help them." Maybe you could just ask, or if somebody's being bullied or if somebody is struggling in a certain way, maybe they don't. My brother has brought this up before. The golden rule doesn't like make complete sense. And I'm like, of course it does. Like, treat people how you want to be treated, and like, well, what if they don't want to be treated the way that you want to be treated?
Wow. Yeah.
So I for sure would just want someone to say, "Oh my God, you got kicked out of your apartment, or you're struggling with domestic abuse. Like, tell me how you're feeling and what do you want and what do you need, and don't give unsolicited advice. Just like listen, because I've been through dark times where I'm depressed, and just having somebody to listen to you and allow you to be yourself and feel what you're feeling is just like priceless. You could not pay for
Mhm.
that amazing gift.
Yeah. I mean, that people mean well, but sometimes their advice or the things they say unwittingly diminishes another person's pain. And so, if someone's in an abusive situation or they're going through some kind of stress, they end up having to push down feelings because so and so advised this.
You're
So,
right. If somebody loses a child, you, I do not think should say it's for the best, yada yada. You could say I'm sorry and then ask how they're feeling. That's probably the best you can do. Or if
mhm,
somebody um, is loses a pregnancy and has a miscarriage, don't try to make them feel better by saying um, it's for the best. I know how you feel if you haven't felt that. So yeah, you're
yeah,
right.
yeah. That's actually a really amazing perspective. What if someone doesn't want to be treated the way you want to be treated? That's very intuitive. I love that. It's amazing. So let's get imaginative here for a bit. I have a magic wand, and whatever you say right now, every single teenager out there is gonna hear. Teenager of the LGBT community, of the Black community, immigrants, pretty much all teenagers, human teenagers around the world are going to hear it. What would you say to them?
um, I would say I don't know you, but I love you, and you're incredible and fun and funny and passionate and creative, and I love your spirit and energy, and I want to bottle it up. And um, I remember being in high school and having so much fun to like I would laugh until I cried and pee my pants rolling around laughing, and like I just hope that you have that experience, and even if you could find one or two dear friends that you just like connect with, I hope that for you because you deserve
Mhm.
it. And I've seen in the news that teenagers are committing suicide and even younger people that are 9 or 10 years old, and it's horrific. And I just think, like, um, you're so precious. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, there's certain things that I know now that I wish I knew when I was 13, that would have made life so much easier mentally. I mean, physical life was I was I don't this sounds so braggy, but I grew up blessed. So physical life, nothing's wrong. I'm fine. But mentally, a lot of things would have been a lot easier if I knew the things you just said. You're precious. I'm like, am I though? Am I?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, those kind of things. So, yeah, so that's amazing. That's awesome.
I would also say that I just saw this quote on Instagram and it said, did you grow up with a happy childhood or are you funny? So it's like, even if people have like really shitty things going on, it's shitty right now, and you'll be hella funny later if you can just get through this and talk about your demented family
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff and dysfunction. So please
absolutely.
take care, and we would much rather
Hmm.
listen to your struggles than listen to a
Hmm.
celebration of life speeches. So
Yeah.
reach out.
That's awesome. Yeah, that is awesome. Help is always available, especially, I'm such a I know what it's like, being in the gutter as far as mental health goes. So this is something that I really speak passionately about: choosing your happiness, feeling good, letting people be free. So that's awesome. Thank you
Fly your
for
freak
your
flag and
time.
celebrate your quirks.
Yes. Absolutely.
Have fun.
Self-expression. That's the best thing.
Think about
So,
how many celebrities are doing so many amazing, amazing things, and how many of them have tried to commit suicide or been so close. It's just like the coolest people are struggling with mental health, and you're not alone.
mm, yes, absolutely. Well, Claire, I want to acknowledge you right now for the stand that you are, for spreading kindness, and well, let's kill take the breath out of hate.
I
Let's
think that it starts with
yeah.
children. So if you
Yeah.
have a child that you're raising or a little niece or nephew, um, it's like we in one generation we could get rid of
Mhm.
no, we probably couldn't get rid of it all, but we can make a good dent in it if we're
Absolutely. It
all
starts with
working together.
yeah. It starts with the young ones. I gotta Another thing I gotta acknowledge you for is, like, when I was on your website, I was on your social media pages. Everything. that it screams vulnerability, self-expression, feel good. And I always sign off the podcast with, may all beings be happy and free, and may our words, thoughts, and actions contribute to the happiness and freedom for all. And that it felt so aligned. That's exactly what it felt like while I was on your website. So you are the epitome of what we stand for here at the Play Inspired podcast. So thank you for that.
Oh, thanks for making the world a better place. What a neat world it would be if more people had your mission.
I know, right? Thank you. Thank you for your time. We appreciate you. And yeah, this once this episode airs, I'll send you an email. And throughout, what's the best way that we could connect with you?
Clare Kindness, and my name is Clare. Clare Kindness. I'm on Instagram and I'm on Facebook, and I'd love to connect and
Mm,
see your beautiful profile. And I'm based in San Luis Obispo, California. So thanks, you guys. Love to you
awesome.
wherever you are.